In this video, we discuss all about starseeds. Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. In this video, we are discussing everything about starseeds. I am one myself, so I'll also be giving you a lot of my own personal examples as to how we're just wonky different. And if you have questions that I don't answer in this video or any of the other videos I did, and I'll put a link in the description box for the other videos, please put your question in the comment section, and then that way the next time I do another video on starseeds, then I can answer your question in that. So let's get right to it. Starseeds. How do you know if you are one? There are so many signs. It's not just 5 things and there you go. There are a bunch of different things that are inclusive to the diversity that is of the starseed itself. So starseeds, we feel different. We know we're different. We don't fit in anywhere with anyone for anything. We have to fake every aspect about ourselves in order to blend in. We'll dumb ourselves down because starseeds usually have a very high IQ. We dumb down our vocabulary. We dumb down our behavior. We dumb down our abilities to create. We do everything to try to blend in because we stand out so much. Most of us, when we were growing up, we could tell that we were standing out. Everyone looked at us differently. Our behavior was different. We just did not fit in. And I know everyone says that they don't fit in, but this is to a whole different level. I mean, a completely different level. So first, most important sign, you don't fit in at all. At all. Second major sign, you believe that you cannot find home. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't feel like home. Something is missing. For most starseeds, when they were children, home that they grew up in did not feel like home. The country that they live in does not feel like home. Their families don't feel like home. There is no place they go that makes them feel like they are home. They are always searching for this place that everyone else seems to find comfort in going home, but starseeds can't find that. That's why most starseeds really don't care where they live, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't feel like home. And it's a very lost feeling when you don't fit in and you can't feel like you will ever find where home is. There's never that relaxation, that comfort that comes with having that sense of security. And that is always on the forefront of a starseed's mind of, why can't I fit in? I don't feel like I belong here. I want to go home. Oh my goodness, I've said those words so many times. I want to go home, but no idea where that was. So next major sign that you are a starseed. You have this ability to feel what other people are feeling. You have this ability to feel what is about to be created. You have this feeling about what is going to be happening. You have these premonitions. You have these feelings that you usually don't like, because most starseeds have no concept of boundaries. Because where starseeds come from, They don't need boundaries because it's a different type of experience. So coming into physical, starseeds feel everything that someone else is feeling. So considering most of humanity is in a bad mood most of the time, we feel their junk. We feel their lower vibrations. We feel what they're going through. And people call that an empath, but quite honestly, every single human is an empath. It's just most humans turn it off. But starseeds have it turned on and cranked up to full blast. So starseeds feel everything until they learn how to put up boundaries to not feel everything all the time. But until that, starseeds are empathic to the degree of usually having to shut themselves away from society to some extent. And it is rough until one learns how to put up boundaries to not feel everything. So starseeds, you can consider them psychic, but I don't like that term because every human is psychic. They just choose whether or not to have it activated or not. And starseeds have it innately activated and full blast until they learn to control it. So starseeds know everything. They feel everything. Next thing, starseeds have this connection with nature, with animals. They have this feeling towards them that quite often most of humanity would make fun of them because quite often a starseed would be very likely to jump out of a car and go hug a tree and wants to run up to animals, wants to run up to bears and hug them because starseeds don't feel that fear that most of humanity feels. Starseeds don't have lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of cellular memories of fear. So we experience life differently. We don't have the same concept of fear. We're kind of fearless in the sense of we think we can befriend any wild animal and everything will be okay. We think that everything should just be okay all the time. We think that we can control the weather. Quite often we can. But I mean, we think that we can do everything and everything will be perfectly all right because we have cellular memories of not being physical in this type of reality and being able to control everything. So that's usually not consciously remembered, but it's in our cellular memories. So starseeds, we just don't have the same type of fear that most of humanity feels. Not saying that we don't have fear, but it's a different type, it's a different level. Next thing that I would say most of starseeds have is when they were children, they believed they were adopted. That is, again, because nothing feels like home. So most starseeds do not have a strong connection to their parents, do not have a strong connection to their siblings. Most starseeds have no connection to any blood family member. They'll have some sort of bond because they're people that they've been around often, but it's not the same type of family bonded unit for a starseed. Again, most starseeds are just kind of pretending to be a part of a family, kind of pretending to fit into the role of the child or of the parent sometimes. So starseeds believe they're adopted, feel like they're adopted. Starseeds have a difficult time with the concept of money. It just is a weird concept, because for starseeds, we know how, not necessarily consciously, but we feel like we should be able to do this and do that and create this and create that without money. Money is this extra step in the process that's not necessary. And it's really, really weird to have to try to figure out how to utilize money when you know money's energy, but you can do whatever it is that you want without using the money. So you have to try to get your brain wrapped around the concept of money. So quite often, starseeds have allowed themselves to get this blockage in their minds that they don't want money, they don't need money. So quite often, starseeds don't have a lot of money because they kind of push it away in the feeling that they don't need it, they don't want it because it's not necessary. And it's true, you don't need it, but it makes life in this existence a lot easier. So if you feel like you just don't really get the concept of money, why do we need it? There should be a different way of doing these things. That's a good sign that you're a starseed. So that's another thing that starseeds need to figure out and deal with, is that this reality uses money. So if a starseed doesn't get their head wrapped around that it's a requirement being here, then they're going to have a more difficult time. Starseeds quite often have health issues of some sorts, especially when they were younger. But if they didn't resolve those issues when they were younger, then it carries through to adulthood and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So a lot of starseeds had some health issues when they were very young, and then by now, whatever age that they're at, especially if they're the first generation starseeds, their health is in rough shape. And usually they would have had secluded themselves off from the rest of the world. For the most part, they might have a partner or a child or something. But usually first generation starseeds have health issues. And most of the first and second generation starseeds had a difficult time being conceived. Their birth mothers usually had at least one miscarriage prior to them incarnating into physical form, and also usually had a somewhat difficult infancy. They had difficult time ingesting milk, or they had a difficult time breathing. They had just various health issues when they were an infant as well. So lots of different things at that point for starseeds with health issues. Most starseeds have this calling to help people or animals. They have this built-in desire since as far back as they can recall as being children, that the job, the career that they wanted was in some sort of service to others, whether it was to be a doctor, a nurse, a firefighter, whatever it was, some sort of healer. Almost every starseed wants to help others. That is their overriding desire in life, is that I have to help people. I have to help people. And no matter what they do, if they try to suppress that and just get a kind of an office job that just deals with paperwork and they don't help people, it kind of is a suffocating feeling that they're not fulfilling their calling, that they have to do something and they don't know what it is. But if they are in a career path that is not in a service to others, helping others somehow, some way, they're going to feel this crazy strong desire within them that they have to fulfill their life mission, and they just don't know what that is. So they need to help others somehow, some way. Most star seeds have some sort of connection to the unseen, to the non-physical, but they don't know what that is yet if they haven't allowed themselves to fully wake up. Whether it be when they were children, they had a lot, or at least one really strong invisible friend that they spoke to on a regular basis. Maybe they could see angels when they were children. They had the ability to move things when they were children with their mind telepathically, with telekinesis. They quite often, as adults, will hear things and see things out of the corner of their eye, but they disregard them if they haven't quite woken yet to realizing what that is. Starseeds have this built-in ability to be able to see things and hear things. But, well, again, all of humanity does, but starseeds have it stronger than most humans. And depending upon how much that starseed has awoken and has allowed themselves to embrace dealing with the unseen world, it will depend upon how strong it is. But the more they ignore it, the more they'll have this feeling within them that something is wrong and they're supposed to be doing something. Starseeds are very creative, whether it is with music or dance or painting or pottery. Somehow, some way, starseeds have a very strong artistic ability. If they have not allowed themselves to express it, so therefore they don't believe they're very good at doing those things, they'll at least have a very strong appreciation for the arts. And it is a strong appreciation for the arts. They will experience music on a level that most people don't experience. They can feel the music. When it's with art of painting, they'll be able to see the colors, they'll be able to see the movement in the paintings. It's an entirely different level of connection when it comes to the arts for Starseed. A starseed will usually have a really strong desire to look at the stars, to look at the sky, to be fascinated with galaxies, to be fascinated with space travel, to feel this longing to just sit and look at the sky. There is this innate feeling of comfort for a starseed when they just look up at the sky and they see beyond what you can see with the physical eyes. They just can feel this connection to something more, something greater. Even when they haven't woken up to being a starseed, they just feel this peace, relaxation, and comfort in just looking at the sky. Now, when it comes to relationships, starseeds are not very good at relationships in any way at all. But again, that's because starseeds always feel like they have to fake who they are in order to fit in. So every time they get into a relationship, they really have a tough time trying to embrace who they truly are with whomever they are with. So almost all starseeds, almost all of them, have this desire to have some sort of partner, a spouse, someone to have their back, as most of humanity does. Everyone wants to have a partner. But starseeds are not necessarily very good at maintaining them because, again, starseeds were fake usually when they started the relationships and kind of allow that fakeness to fizzle out. But that's, again, something that happens with most humans. Most humans are a little fake at the beginning, but starseeds are a little more so. And then when it comes to wanting children, almost all starseeds just go, not for me. Starseeds might be open to fostering children or possibly adopting later on in their lives, or maybe older children. But very few starseeds actually want to have their own children. There's just something within them that from a very young child, they just would never have had any desire for that type of family. They wanted a partner to do stuff with, but they never wanted their own children. Like I said, they would be open to fostering children, to helping children, but never a desire. Most never had a desire, a strong desire to have their own. Now, there are some that have bypassed that, and that would be those starseeds that came in the first generation of starseeds. Those starseeds are more likely to have tried the stereotypical family with having a marriage and at least one child. But very few of them ever were able to have a good relationship with either their spouse or their child. But if they were to have a child, it usually was from the first generation of starseeds. Most starseeds want to try everything. They just want to experience everything. They want to go everywhere and do everything. It's because they've never done it before. This is their first time here in a physical body. They want to experience everything, which is one of the bonuses of having no connection to anything, having no feelings that of having a home, is it gives you the freedom to go anywhere, live anywhere, and do anything because you want the experience. A starseed feels this drive to experience as much of life as possible. Living life to its fullest is a very strong urge for a starseed to just go out there and give it a shot, whatever it may be. That is a driving force for most starseeds. Okay, so those are the primary characteristics of most starseeds. Now, there are certain categories that we can filter down for a starseed so you can see where you fit into the general concept of starseeds. So, a little background on starseeds. Starseeds have never been to Earth before in a human body. For the most part, there's always the odd exception, but almost, we're talking like 99.99% here, have never experienced being in a physical human body before. So, a little background on all of this. Gaia and the humans living on Gaia were having some issues with the vibrations. It was time for the ascension process, the elevation of the human consciousness to occur. But humans were not elevating their consciousness. They were not evolving. They were not growing. Humans had gone stuck in a reactionary experience of being a human. They weren't evolving anymore with their consciousness. They just kind of stopped. And with that, evolution of energy within Gaia stopped. So, in order to fix that, there was a call that was sent out by Gaia, by the old souls living on Gaia, and by the councils that oversee Gaia and help Gaia and everything going on for the humans. So that call went out, and those of this universe, other universes, other realities, usually of the sixth dimension and higher, were the ones who heard the call and decided that they were going to come to Gaia, incarnate into a physical form, and in so doing, forget who they were, where they came from, and take the chance of getting caught in the same pattern that rest of humanity got trapped in. So they kind of got trapped in this reincarnation cycle because they stopped evolving, they stopped growing, they stopped spiritually awakening. And so all of these beings chose to come to Gaia and incarnate one time only, hopefully, into a physical body to help raise the consciousness, to help raise the awareness, to help allow others to grow spiritually. But as I said, in so doing, they had to agree to have their memories completely wiped. When they were born into a physical body, they agreed that they would not remember anything. And they had to somehow, some way, figure out that everything here on what we see as the third dimensional plane of Gaia needed to change, needed to evolve, needed to grow. That is one monumental task. How does one come into this experience, completely forget where they came from, and somehow recognize that things need to change? That's incredible. That really is incredible. But that was the chance that every single starseed took, was forgetting and staying in the reincarnation cycle and not growing anymore. And most starseeds kind of got stuck for a little bit. So that's why it's taking so long for starseeds to wake up, is that almost all of them kind of got stuck because of that veil of forgetfulness that was placed upon them when they incarnated. There was so much heavy, dense, dark energy here. Trying to look past it was almost impossible. So let's now discuss the different time frames that the starseeds came in. There have been 3 generational incarnations, groups that have come into Gaia. Now, it's not just this is the date, so therefore you are within this group or this group or this group. It's kind of a general area. So starseeds started to come in the first generation around the end of the Second World War. So mid-1940s-ish is kind of where starseeds started to appear. And in so doing, that next 30 years, so until the mid-1970s, 1980, kind of that time frame, so that first generation was lasted about 30 years. So 1940s to 1970s, 1950, 1980, somewhere in that time frame is what we call the first generation of starseeds. These starseeds had the most difficult time because they came in holding up their swords going, I got this, not a problem, I'll be able to figure things out and remember. But they had no clue as to how dense and dark and heavy Earth was, beyond what they ever thought it was going to be. So first generation starseeds had the worst time. Most of them suicidal, most of them so depressed that they just couldn't live a normal life. Most of them had no relationships and have self-isolated themselves most of their lives. They've had a rough time. So then there came the next generation that the councils learned from all of the experiences that the first generation were having and figured out ways to help the second generation as they started to incarnate. So second generation, Again, next 30-year period, kind of mid-1970s to 1980 kind of thing for the next 30 years. So 1970s to kind of like 2000, 2005, kind of around in there, right? So that second generation of starseeds, they had a much easier time at everything compared to the first generation. So first generation came in thinking, I'll be able to remember, I'll be able to figure things out, and then show up with their swords ready to just fight the world. I can conquer it. I can wake everybody up. But they just were suffocated by the heaviness and the darkness. There were some that were able to break past it, and especially now in these new energies, they're getting past it. But basically, right up until about the last 5 years or so, they have had a tough time. So now the second generation, after the councils have learned from all of the problems that the first generation had, the second generation were incarnating with kind of upgrades to their bodies. They were incarnating with a better receiver within them to be able to feel the energies a little bit more, which would make them recognize that they're different from other people. So, as awful as it is to know that you're different from everyone else, it makes you question. And that was the key that the councils decided to have placed within the second generation of starseeds is this innate ability to question everything, because they realize I am completely different. Why? What's going on? And they needed that trigger within them to help them figure out what was going on. So second generation starseeds have a stronger switch in them that makes them feel more. They're more empathic until they learn to control it. But they are more in tune to the environment than the first generation. They are more in tune to what is going on around them than the first generation. They are more in tune to the energies of other people, and therefore can actually affect other people's vibrations just with being in the room. People are drawn to second generation starseeds like a moth to a flame. A starseed can walk into a room or walk into a mall and heads turn and look at the starseed for no reason. They don't know why. They're just drawn to the energy of that second generation starseed, which again makes that starseed feel awful and horrible when they're waking up, or at first, when they're first growing up as well, thinking, why am I so different? What's wrong with me? But that questioning of why am I different is what is so important in making them wake up. That was the turning point, was when the second generation starseeds started to question everything. That was brilliant on the part of the councils, getting them to recognize that they are so different by giving them these little upgraded tweaks to be able to feel more. So drawback is being able to feel more, but at the same time, it's the bonus because it makes you question, why am I able to feel more? So then, third generation of starseeds. So the next 30 years. So the third generation is kind of around year 2000 to they're still being born, right up until kind of ascension time. So year 2000, 2005-ish for the next 30 years, right? So year 2030, 2035, kind of in that time frame. So those 30 years is the third generation of starseeds who have an even easier time than the first two generations. So what makes the third generation stand out from the first two generations? The third generation of starseeds, they have this innate ability to just know that one should never have to work for anything. Everything in life should be given to them. And that has been distorted by the dark energies, by the lower energies, by calling them millennials and saying they don't know how to work, they have no work ethic or anything like that. That's a distortion from the true vibration of what they brought with them, which is this knowingness that they are a part of the universe, this knowingness that they are in harmony with everything. And to work for something means you go against the harmony. To work hard for something and to force something into beingness is to go against the flow of the universe. So this third generation that came in just had this ability to feel the ease, to feel the flow, to know that one should not have to work hard at something that they don't like to earn an income just to survive. They know that's not right. They know that's not the way the universe works. So, as I said, that all has been distorted, but we're trying to get back to the true beauty of their vibration that they're bringing with them. They are bringing with them this ability to create wherever they go, this harmony. They can go anywhere and do anything. Their intelligence is off the charts. Everything that first generation and second generation starseeds kind of felt like they should be able to, third generation easily can. They are born with this calmness. They are born with this confidence. They are born with this knowingness that they can just go out and do anything. It is amazing being around these third generation starseeds, especially when they are young children. I have met some when I've been out for walks, and my jaw drops when I'm around them. I don't think they know who they are, but I sure do. I can just feel this energy from them. It is the most amazing. It's like being in the presence of a master that, it was just the most, I just felt harmony. I felt peace. I felt ease being around them. It's like the energy around them just calmed down. It was amazing. And that's what these third generation starseeds have. They are the ones that are bringing the calmness and the ease and the peace. So that is the difference between each of the generations of starseeds. So you can probably notice that there's some overlap between them, and there are even some starseeds that have all of the qualities. But it really is a matter of recognizing who you are and knowing that your purpose is to wake up. Your purpose is to bring harmony. Your purpose is to bring light. Your purpose is to bring joy. Your purpose is to bring this love wherever you go, into anything you do. You chose to come here, regardless as to your generation of starseeds. You chose to come here to bring light, to help everyone else evolve their consciousness. How you choose to help others evolve their consciousness is up to you. You decide, what do you think is best for making people become aware of who they are. You can't go out and tap on everyone's heads and say, wake up, wake up. Sometimes I've wanted to do that to some people, more of a slap in the head sometimes. It's like, what are you doing? But we can influence others by living a certain way. We can influence others just by our energy. We can influence others by being an example. So how can you live your life to be an example to others, to help them question what is going on in the world, help them question themselves? What can you do in your life that will be this beacon of light to others to help them question everything? Because that is the key to waking up, is to start questioning. So what can you do to help others question? You can't point things out to people, because if you try to point things out to people, like the flaw in their logic or why they're wrong, that's going against the flow of the universe. That is just the opposite of what you want to achieve. Because if you tell someone that they're doing something wrong, they're going to fight back. So we can never, as much as we want to, we can never go up to somebody. We can never say, hey, you should do this. Hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you do this? Unless somebody else asks for your advice. If you offer it in any way with them not asking for it first, they will not only disregard it, but you have created kind of a wall, a barrier for those people. So probably the biggest challenge for a starseed is to learn to keep our mouths shut when we want to so desperately offer advice and help to others, but we can't unless the other person has asked, specifically asked, our opinion or advice. It's difficult. It's really not easy to just zip it. But that is how we can help others, is by living our life as an example to others. And when someone else says, hey, how do you live your life like that? Why are you behaving like that? You can tell them, I started to question everything. I started to question my purpose. I started to question why I was behaving this way. I started to question this. And then you are planting these seeds for other people, for them to spiritually grow. It was never our intention when we incarnated as starseeds. We never came to Earth in a physical form with the intention of going up to people and making them evolve. It was our intention when we came into physical form to find a way somehow, it's still amazing that we did, but to find a way to wake up and then to live our life as an example, to live our life as a beacon of light to others, so that they came to us, not for us to go to them, but for them to come to us. That was our intention. Because if we intend to go out in searching to create, to force others, that is not a service to others vibration. But to live our life as a beacon of light so that others can come to us, to ask us for guidance, to ask us for assistance, to ask us, how can I be happier? How can I live more in a state of love? Then that is being of service to others, giving others the opportunity to learn at their own pace, being in the state of allowing everyone to wake up on their own terms, allowing everyone to feel what they need to feel before they're ready to start questioning. It is not easy to sit back and allow everyone to do what they're doing when you can see the pain that they're causing themselves. But that's part of waking up yourself, is learning to allow everyone to do whatever it is that they're doing because that's what they need to do for themselves at that moment in time prior to them getting to the point of being ready to evolve their consciousness. So that is really what our purpose is to live our life as a beacon of light to others, to help others question, to help others wake up, to help others start to evolve again. Now, part of being a star seed is once you start waking up, your memories start coming back. And usually you start looking at your hands and going, huh, I don't remember being in a physical body before. This is weird. Or, huh, I thought my skin's supposed to be blue or maybe furry or something. But for myself, I remember very clearly going, the last time I was here, I was blue. I remember being here before being blue. I actually have a very clear memory of being incarnated once before. The land masses looked completely different. I was tall compared to the humans. I was very tall, very slender, blue skin, and I glowed in comparison to the humans that were around. The humans looked quite small. They were almost like the height of children. I don't know what their height actually was, but just my viewpoint looking at them, um, the land masses were different, and I remember teaching them things and showing them things. They just wanted to play, and so we sang and played games to help them learn and grow and teach them things. And but I remember being tall in comparison to them and slender and very light. Um, I don't remember feeling gravity. I don't because there is also this other experience that I had a few years ago. I stubbed my toe, and I I didn't stub it very hard, but I stubbed my toe on the door frame, and I fell to the floor, wailing and sobbing and crying. And for I don't know why I was crying so hard, but I was crying, and there was someone with me at the time, and I was crying. I'm like, I don't remember it being so hard here. It was never so heavy before. These bodies are so heavy. I want to go home. I don't want to be here. It was not supposed to be so hard here. I want to go home. Just crying and sobbing and my body is so heavy here. I don't remember it being so heavy. I want to go home. And just like that, I just snapped out of it. And I looked at this person. I'm like, did I just say what I think I said? And they were like, yep. And I thought, wow. You'll have, as a starseed, you'll have little things like that happen to you. And they're hysterical when they happen because they're great ways of helping you wake up, and little things like that trigger memories that then come flooding back. Because then after I had that, then I had the memory of me being very slender and tall and blue, and I glowed, and I didn't feel gravity. It's like I was in a body, but it wasn't a dense body. I want to say almost like a hologram type body, but there wasn't weight like these bodies are weighted down. So I remember that very clearly. And I have that memory. And then I also, when I started waking up, I remember thinking, I'm in a body. This is weird. I can't move properly. I remember thinking how stuck I felt being in a body. I felt trapped, and whew, even talking about it right now, I started to get a little claustrophobic. Um, I just, because it's not right. I should be able to move. I'm trapped in this. Oh, I don't even like talking about it. Oh, okay. So I'm not going to really go down that too much. Ugh, icky. So depending upon where you came from when you chose to incarnate here as a star seed, many star seeds, as I said, almost all star seeds are from sixth dimension and higher. Um, that's strictly because if you were of fifth dimension, possibly fourth dimension, almost probably you would not be able to wake yourself up and remember what was going on. So almost all star seeds are from sixth dimension and higher. And the higher you go, you don't need bodies anymore. So there's a large portion of star seeds that have never had a body, that came straight from source God, that there's a lot here that were from the angelic realm that have never been in a physical form before, and so incarnated from the angelics into physical form. So there are a lot of star seeds that are going to have issues identifying not only with their gender because they feel genderless. It's like, well, I really could be either gender. I don't know. It because they can understand both points of view because they came from a place of non-gender. And then also being in a body, they'll look at it, go, this is weird. What's up? How do you do things? This, I should be able to do stuff and I can't do stuff. The more you allow yourself to awaken, explore the feelings that are showing up, like what gender you are, because a large portion of you are going to kind of be genderless. You're born into a gender that you chose specifically and you embrace that easily, but you could also usually not care because it's not about the gender, it's about the spiritual connection you have with someone. Starseeds see things differently. Starseeds don't understand the whole race issue. Starseeds don't understand the whole gender issue. Starseeds just kind of go, eh? What's the problem? It, so it really is a matter of starseeds are better at allowing others to live however they want, except when it comes to wanting to help. Then starseeds want to kind of like jump in and force their help upon others. So that's a big thing that starseeds do. Starseeds like to force their help upon anyone, even when they haven't asked for it. So if you're one of those, like I used to be, we got to work on that because we can't force our help on anyone as much as we want to. And it is fun when you start having memories of places that you've been and having memories of different experiences on different worlds, different dimensions, different realities. Oh, and you start exploring all that through meditation once you allow yourself the possibility that you might be a starseed. So you start playing with where your brain takes you in thought and where your heart makes you feel like you want to explore and see what happens. And it is wonderful what happens. It's wonderful. It's freeing. Once you start knowing why you're different, once you start knowing why you behave differently and see things differently, it is so freeing. It is the most freeing experience because until you know what is wrong with you, even with when it comes to health, until you know what's wrong, there's this awful gut-wrenching experience. But once you know what it is, it's like, okay, now I can deal with this. Now I can allow, now I can just let things be and have fun. So you just have to figure out how to get yourself to that point of just allowing yourself to take what feels right and leave the rest. That's the best saying that I ever learned. Take what feels right and leave the rest. So you start doing meditations based upon what feels right, what other people recommend, what you have in the dream, and see where it takes you. Look at your hands and think, what color should I be? Should there be fur? Should there be fins? Should there be antennas? What do I resonate with? What is going on? What could I be blocking? Because if you say, no, 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 that's not right, you're blocking something. So if you have a strong opposition to something, take a look at what it is you're opposed to, because I think you might be deliberately blocking something that you don't want to admit to, which is quite often the case with most of humanity when we say, no, 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 no. There's an aspect there that we're not wanting to identify with when we need to be identifying with it. Channeling. So all of humanity can channel. It's what we're supposed to be doing to be able to communicate with those that we cannot see, to be able to communicate with the divine. Every human being has the ability to channel. It's what we're supposed to be doing to get guidance. It's what we're supposed to be doing. So for people to say that they can't channel, you're just not letting yourself channel. That's all. Everyone can. Everyone needs to. Because if you're not channeling, then you're not getting the guidance that you need to be getting on an ongoing, continuous, 24/7 basis. Now, it does not matter how you channel. What matters is that you do channel. And there's many ways to channel. There are people that like to go into full trance mode to get information. There are those that like to do automatic writing. There are those that like to compose music or poetry, which is a form of automatic writing. There are those that like to just start talking and see where the information takes them. There are those that like to sit in meditation and hear guidance come to them. There are many, 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 many different ways. And then there's also the kind that I'm more inclined to do, which is as I speak to someone, as I talk to someone, and I listen what they are wanting assistance with, the information that comes from me is never my information. You can always tell a difference in my demeanor when I am so-called channeling, but really it's just inspired thought, inspired words, inspired action from the divine. It's not my self-imposed biases that I'm presenting, but I relax and I just allow myself to feel what feels like love to come through. And that way, the reason why that's my preferred method of channeling is because I can interact in a different way. I can kind of remember, kind of feel what it is that I'm saying a little bit. Whereas if you go into full trance, you have zero idea as to what is being said. And I want to feel a little bit of what is going on so I can feel if this is something that I personally could deal with in a better way, feel in a better way. And then when I kind of snap myself out of it, you can kind of tell that then I am not so much into a calm, loving vibration. Like you can tell when my own biases come through. It's a little more harsh and a little more it's just more of my opinion in the matter. And then if I want guidance, I just relax and allow. And then as I calm down and I feel better and I feel smoother, I can feel my energy just smooth out. And then I can feel the divine just start making my heart glow. I can feel how happy I am. And I can feel the information of love coming through. And as that information of love is coming through, I know that the information will be for the highest good, for my highest good and the highest good of all. So everyone can benefit from whatever is coming through when I am in this type of energy, this type of channeling. And this is something that anyone can do at any time, anywhere. It's just a matter of relaxing and feeling love and allowing them to speak while in a state of love. And it feels wonderful. So I highly recommend, as I need more tea, that everyone, my own personal opinion, everyone stop saying that they can't channel, because you can. You've just blocked it. You've just turned it off. You've turned it off like a switch, and you just allow yourself to start channeling. Say, I can channel, because you can. Everyone can. It's just a matter of practicing. And you might want to practice with writing. Try automatic writing in the sense of start writing out things like, I am love, I am light, I am peace, I am harmony. Just start writing out beautiful words like that. That is a form of channeling, because as you get into that flow, you will feel yourself behave differently than you do normally. So start with something like that. Okay. So with that being done, so I hope that this helped. Being a starseed is one of living on the edge of society, living on the edge of expectations, living on the edge of what people want from us, living on the edge of what is societal norms. Being a starseed is embracing the fact that you are different and being grateful that you're different, no matter how long it might have taken you to get to that point. Because starseeds are known to get depressed, really depressed. But once you get to that point of recognizing that being different to the degree that a starseed is a beautiful and wonderful thing. And that's why it's so important to be a starseed, is because of us being different. Embrace it. Have fun with being different. Enjoy being different. See what you can do with the fact that you are different. Play with that aspect. Say whatever comes into your head that brings joy to you. Start experimenting with things that you normally wouldn't do because it's against societal norms. Start talking out loud and see what you start saying, because it's shocking the beauty that will come through your mouth when you start talking out loud for no reason. It's like, wow, I didn't realize such beautiful thoughts could come from me. It's because you're connected to the divine.
And Starseeds can do that so easily. So embrace it, have fun with it, and allow yourself to drop what we have been taught by society, that you have to behave a certain way, you have to live a certain way, and feel the silliness, the fun, the excitement that comes from being different. Trying to fit in is what made Starseeds depressed. So let it go. You'll never fit in. Be okay with that and be grateful for it. And the Starseeds will start flocking to each other. And that's who we can be silly with together. That's the whole reason why I started this channel, is so that we can all be silly together. So embrace it. Have fun with it. Recognize that you're different. Enjoy it. Live in a state of constant non-judgment. Live in a state of constant fun. Live in a state of constant love. Life is changing by each moment. Life is just going off the charts different. So if you were wondering where you were on your spiritual journey, it doesn't matter, because we are all just getting shot all over the place constantly. We are all just learning as we go now, because everything that was the way it had been for millennia, for centuries and centuries and years, being taught down from mentor to student, from teacher to student, from master to student, all of those things, all of those traditions, all of those spiritual teachings, everything has now changed. So if you're doing something because you were told this is the way you're supposed to do it, let it go. Figure it out for yourself, because it's time to be different. What was. It's not the same way anymore. Let it go. Let go of all of those traditions of whatever religion that you come from. Let them go and just figure it out for yourself. You have the power within you. You have the knowledge within you. You have the connection to the divine that will guide you to what is best for you. Not for someone else, for you. This is your own personal journey. And as a starseed, embrace being different. Embrace figuring it out on your own, using your own compass of your heart, not your head. Use your heart. Feel where you need to go. Feel that it's going to take time to learn how to be silly. And the reason why I keep coming back to being silly is because being silly gives you freedom. It drops your walls. It drops your self-imposed restrictions. If you choose to be silly, just like a child, it gives you access to everything. So learning to be silly is key. It really is. Because once you allow yourself to be silly, that means you just don't care what anyone else thinks. All you care is about being true to yourself, being true to following your heart for love of non-judgment, and allowing everyone else to do what they need to do for what is best for them at that moment in time for them. Okay? I love you all. I love you so much. I love you so much. And I know that we're all still trying to figure things out here with these energies being crazy, crazy, crazy energies. We're all feeling them together. Some people feel them more than others, but we're all feeling it somehow, some way. So learn to just roll with it, surf the waves of the energy. I'm going through it too with all of you. This is so much fun. It's crazy. And then next time I'll be on the floor bawling my eyes out going, what's going on? And then I'll be feeling great again. It's a ride. It's such a ride. So take care, everybody. I love you.